Good morning, science class. Today we're going to start with our Chapter 8 study guide today. So, as always, I have my paper laid out. Reminder, it is very helpful to actually write this out, not just have a little textbook open beside you, but actually take the time to study and go through it. This does help with memory and just figuring things out. That way you know where all the answers are and you will have best of luck studying and doing the best you can on the Chapter 8 quiz. So we have our piece of paper right here, and I want to title it and put the key terms because I will be needing this for later in the unit, and that way I don't have all this information on the unit test, and same thing for the final exam. I've done all the work, and then I would be ready for those bigger tests. So we have our paper laid out. Next, I'm going to jump to our textbook. And you can see I've pulled it up right from the web. And remember, it was just Google search, so we can pull it up, or if you have it here. Now, I want to jump to the key terms. So I jump right to the review at the very bottom. This was a very interesting unit because it jumps around a little bit and has a lot of terms that we might have heard before, maybe not heard before. So as you can see, there is lots of key terms here. This is almost all the way full, and we need to make sure we're understanding them. And for the big part, I want us to actually know where the key details are. So what we have, I'm going to draw a little circle. I'm going to highlight the key points and how we're going to break them up. And you can see here's the first kind of one that we have broken up. I'll grab a different one. The cell systems right here is our second part of terms, and this is our chunking. I'm going to completely grab a different color just to highlight it. And then here's our second part of notes. And so we have three big chunks of notes that I want to focus on. And so when we're going through them, it really helps to kind of piece this information together. And so when I take my terms, and I'm going to do it quick, and that way this is not such a long video, but when I take my key terms, and I'm going to have this chunk right here, and I put them into my notes, there we are. I have very similar terms that I need to know all chunked together on my key terms. I'm not jumping around from a microscope to a part of the cell to different life processes. Everything to do with making things look bigger is all right here. And it helps organize my thoughts. And so when I go back and I want to actually kind of go back and review, I can jump all the way back up to where microscopes pop up and I can actually go looking through it. And this is all going to be on this 8.1 right here. And so you see all my terms come up and what are the details about a microscope. The big thing, okay, we know the terms for the microscope, but right here, this image, this is very important that we know. And so I posted a video, hopefully about a online microscope lab. Please make sure to work through that and practice through how to use a microscope because it goes through some ideas of why do we need to color slides? Why do we need to magnify things? What do we see under these lenses? Okay, and it helps actually review some of the parts. So I would suggest drawing out a picture of a very simple microscope. Doesn't have to be detailed like this, but draw it out and actually label the parts for yourself. And when we have all these terms right here, we can have these terms, but add in all the different part terms as well with your drawing. And so we have the key terms and parts of the microscope. So that's our big 8.1 chunk is everything to do with microscopes and all the parts of the microscope. So, like you see here, can you actually label all these parts? And do you remember what they are all called? Next was my second kind of circle, was 8.2 and cell theory. Here you see right on the side how all these terms were laid out. And you see right here from atoms, molecules, organelles, but all in the green is what we're studying in biology, all right here. So you need to make sure you know all these levels, and it helps to actually draw this organizational flow chart out in your study sheet because it goes from cells to tissues, to organs, to systems, to organisms. And we need to know, okay, we all are made up of cells, and these cells make up tissues. Tissues come together to make organs, and organs work together to make an organ system. And all of these systems make us as an organism, and so they're all built on each other. So we need to make sure we're knowing these words and how they link together. So that's the big one with that one. So that one's a little bit quicker. Then finally, and this is where we have a lot more terms, is all the parts of a cell. You need to know these terms and you need to simplify them. So writing down this definition in your whole notes does not help. Okay, you need to make sure you have a simplified version of what a nucleus does. It contains DNA and it controls all activities in the cell. So I've taken parts of it, but I've taken the most important parts of what actually is happening. Okay, so you need to make sure we're going through it. Same thing for all these other terms that we see here: cytoplasm, mitochondrion, vacuole, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, cell membrane, cell wall, chloroplast. Have all these terms. If it helps, you can include a small simplified version of a drawing as well. Again, these drawings will really help learn what these different parts are, because what do all these shapes sort of look like? Well, they kind of look like this. Or if you Google search an image, you might be able to find one that is very helpful. So chapter 8 was a lot of terminology, and that's why we need to go through it and make sure we're practicing. Do we know these terms before we start the quiz? The last little part of this, and this might be your little test of can you actually do this and explain? Oh, I forgot. We can't actually do this lab, but this was one of my favorite labs we could do where we made a candy cell. It was a fun in class one. But when we talk about the city and as a cell, go through this and it helps relate all these different parts of the cell and how they could work as a city. And you can see here, right here, City Hall would be the nucleus. So in a city, City Hall controls everything and it tells everything what to do. Here, Golgi transport, what do they do? What does a Golgi body do? The power plant. What does a power plant do? Oh, right, it's the mitochondrion. And so as we're starting to learn it, we're learning other examples and how it relates to other things and how we can compare it to the city. And you see here, oh, okay, the chloroplast industries. Only in plant cells are chloroplasts found and the chloroforms, but that's plant cells and that's where photosynthesis happens, okay? So make sure we're practicing the cell as if it were a city. And does it help deepen your understanding? How do you make sense of it all? So it's interesting, but go through it slowly and it helps reinforce the different parts of the cell. So finally, we're back here at our review. And when we've written out all our notes and we've chunked them into small little pieces, we should be able to, no problem, go through these and talk about some of these words. Okay? Because it's going to test us, but we should have no problem going through these different parts because it's not just knowing the definition and being able to look it up, is how to actually apply it. And so how do we actually do it? What is a semi-permeable layer? Okay. What is the control center? So I'm just grabbing the parts of the cell because they're the quickest, but what is the transportation system? You should be able to put these very simple terms into your definition and know what they line up with, and then you would be good and ready for your assignment and the quiz. And once you've practiced all these different little parts, good luck on your test. So if you have any questions before you want to start the quiz, please go ahead. But the quiz will be open from Friday, so it's open right now, all the way till Tuesday because Monday is technically parent-teacher interviews. So you have till Tuesday to finish the quiz. Good luck and best of wishes.